This is going to be shorter practice, and I want to spend a little time at the very beginning of this talking about head and neck alignment, and we'll do a couple things for that specifically in the practice, but I want to talk about it first. We spend a lot of time forward, or people drive and they push their head forward, or the headrest pushes your head forward, or we sit with our heads down on our phone. So we're very culturally taught to get our head forward, and then we can't bring it back very well. And when people do bring it back, they tend to sort of jam up the back of their neck, and so I mean, if it's just your head that's forward, you can probably start to bring it back, but when the upper body starts to go, it gets harder to make those changes the longer we've held them. Movement patterns get very well established. So when we're talking about bringing the head back in alignment, we can't just pull it back. You can see that's not going to do it. I could just tip my ribs forward and then it looks like I'm upright with my head over my shoulders, over my hips, but I didn't actually change anything. I just moved the whole unit, right? So if I want to keep my ribs where they are, I'm going to have to draw my shoulders back separate from everything else, which starts to bring the head back. And then I want to picture the base of my skull and draw it back as well. It's a separate movement. It's kind of your chin pulling in, not so much that you're looking under your eyebrow ridge, but the base of your skull sliding back like it's pulling back toward that headrest. So I didn't end up flipping my rib cage forward. I ended up changing my upper spine by drawing my shoulders back, which wakes up some muscles in your upper back in a new way, and then pulling my head back. Now, the fact that I'm still here, even though I teach this, is because I spend more hours on my computer and on my phone and driving than I do working on this. But I do work on this a lot, so it's not as pronounced as it could be or as it used to be. So for our practice today, we're going to look at that. I want to show when we get to lying down, you're going to want to have a blanket or something or a pillow even that you could put under your head, so I can talk about that too, about that relationship. So this will have us stop and start, and then because we're going to stop again to talk about the head lying down. Find a comfortable seated position to start with. We're just going to be sitting and lying down on the floor for this practice today. I am up on a block, kneeling. You could sit in a chair for this first part. So the first thing we're going to do is settle some weight down into your pelvis, whatever you're sitting on, and then lift up through your spine a little bit away from that, creating some space. And tune into your breathing. We'll start to inhale and exhale at your pace, nice and slow. Keep the breath moving and steady, and let's try and draw those shoulders back a little, not pinching the shoulder blades together, just opening the chest. Now that might change your ability to breathe. If you're not used to using the muscles that are holding your shoulders in place, it might limit the movement of your lungs. That's okay. As you get better at this positioning, as it's less effort, you'll breathe more comfortably. Bring your arms down by your side, and on your next inhale, take the arms out and up. And we're going to bring the arms out and down on the way down. Now, there are lots of ways you can move the arms with the breath. One of the other more common ones is to bring them down in front of you. But because we're working on these shoulders and bringing them back, a lot of people, hands come in front and the shoulders pull forward. So we're going to keep those shoulders out and back by keeping the arms out to the side. Move with your breath. The next time that you bring the arms up toward the ceiling, we're going to then bend the elbows and place the hands behind the head. If you can lace your fingers and place them there, that's great. It could also just be your fingers touching your head. But at the base of your skull, you're going to pull your head into your fingers or your hands, pulling that chin in and drawing the elbows wide. Now, this is a lot more work. Notice your breathing. And the next time you inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bring them down. We'll take the arms out and up one more time. Lace the fingers behind your head. Draw your head into your hands, the chin coming in slightly, elbows wide, and we're going to start to slide, curving over to one side, as though you're sliding along a wall. So your head is staying back in your hands, elbows stay wide, and we're just curving from one side to the other, opening up space between the rib cage and the pelvis, and working on the endurance to hold the head and shoulders where they are by pressing your head into your hands. Come to center, reach the arms up and bring the arms down. Let's start to circle the shoulders, smoothing out the circle. It doesn't have to be the biggest circle. And let's go the other way. Do your shoulders skip or jump or hitch? Can you make these circles smooth? Letting the arms hang by your side, shoulders relaxed. Now let's add a little effort, drawing the shoulders back. Pull your head into your imaginary hands that are laced behind your head. We're going to curve over to one side, and this time you're going to bring the opposite arm up, as long as that's okay in your shoulder. Watch that the head didn't come forward. Keep your head back in line with your spine. We'll bring the arm down, we'll come upright, we'll take the arms out and up, and exhale them down, and we'll curve over to the other side. Arms hanging on this side. This arm reaches up perhaps, and then watch that the head didn't pull forward. Pull the base of your head back toward an imaginary wall or into your imaginary hands. And bring the arm down, bring the body upright. We're going to come onto all fours. So when I work in table, all fours, I like to have the knees right under my hips so they're not too wide, they're not too narrow, thighs are parallel. And then I place my hands, I like my hands slightly forward of my shoulders. Some people are straight down, but you want to make sure you at least have the distance of your shoulder to your hip between your hand and knee. Curling the toes under, go ahead and lift the hips in the air, working toward downward dog. Find that length from head to tailbone. And bring the knees down. We're not doing a lot today. We're going to lie down on the floor on our backs. In this position, when people lie on their backs, often, I'll turn sideways, often, if they have that very rounded forward head, the head does this when they go to lie on their back. The chin goes up to the ceiling, front of the neck is really stretched out, and the back of the neck is really jammed. And so then people try and force their neck to the floor, and that's not what we want. So if your chin is like this, then we need to allow gravity to help change your spine. And you can put a blanket or a pillow under your head, and it's not under your neck because we want gravity to pull your neck toward the floor gently. You're not pressing it there. Now I don't need this much. This is too high. And so I'm gonna unfold that blanket some, put a little bit under there, and you might even go higher if your chin is still up to the ceiling. So we're gonna bend the knees. So this is simply positioning your head to let gravity do the work of realigning your upper body. Now we're gonna do the work lying down. So if you have a head that positions chin up, you should always have something under your head when you're lying on the floor so that gravity can start to help change your spine and upper back. So you can hang on to your legs or you don't have to. We're gonna just point and flex the feet right here. And then I want you to point your feet and straighten the legs as straight as they go, and then flex the feet and bend your knees back down to where you were. Point and straighten and flex and bend. As you're doing this, figure out when you inhale and when you exhale now that you know the movement. I'm finding that I'm inhaling to take my legs up and exhaling to bring them down. That's just what I happen to be doing today. There's not a wrong answer. The only wrong answer is I'm not breathing. Connect your breath to your movement. We'll do a few more of these. And then we'll go ahead and place the feet on the floor. I'm going to angle myself a little bit so you'll be able to see better what I'm doing with my arms. I'm going to take my legs long on the floor, and I want to notice what's going on with the lower part of my rib cage. Inhale, take your arms up to the ceiling and then toward the floor overhead, and exhale and bring them back down. Now, if your shoulders are tight, or if you have a lot of that rounded forwardness I talked about at the beginning, you're going to find that to get your arms to the floor, the ribs are going to fly up. So we're going to try not to let the ribs move. We're going to try and keep the ribs in place. And again, inhale, take the arms up. And now you notice my arms don't make it to the floor. But now I'm getting to work with my actual shoulder range of motion. And I have to work a little harder to bring them closer to the floor without the ribs moving. Now there's a way to make this slightly easier if you're having trouble keeping those ribs in. If you have a lot of that arch going on, I could change the breath. And if I exhale as I take my arms up, it changes things. So I'm going to inhale with them down. Exhale, lift the arms. Inhale, they come back by my hips. Exhale, lift the arms. And what I find is if I'm moving my arms up overhead on the exhale, my ribs don't fly as much. It's a little easier to keep them in place, and I can continue to truly work at the shoulder joint and not in my whole spine. The next time the arms are up overhead, keep them overhead. We're going to take them out to the side to come down. And then we're going to take them back out to the side and up. So now we're moving into what I call floor angels. Like you're making angel wings in the snow, but you're doing it on the floor. And we're also just doing the arms. The next time your arms come down by your side, we will go ahead and bend the knees once more. Crossing one ankle over the other, I'm crossing my right ankle over my left leg. I'm going to take my arms out to the side, and I like my palms up. I find that opens my shoulders more. You could have your palms down. You could also have your arms down. If you're addressing shoulder stuff and upper body and neck stuff, out to the side is helpful. We're going to take the legs over to the left, so over toward the leg that's propping up the other foot. And maybe your foot touches the floor and maybe it doesn't. Very tight today, it's not going all the way. But breathing here. We'll come up, we'll keep the legs crossed the way they're crossed, and now I'm going to take my legs over to the right toward the leg that's up in the air. And so positionally I end up with one leg pressing on the other, kind of as leverage, pulling it down through its own weight. As you breathe here, notice if any tension disappears. And we'll bring the legs up, we'll uncross. So now I'm going to take my left leg over right. And the first thing we do is go to the right again, the direction you just were going, but now the legs have crossed differently. Do you twist the same on each side? Do you have the same facility? We'll bring the knees up, keep your legs as is. We'll go to the other side. And bring the legs up, uncross your knees. Legs, ankles, you know what I mean, uncross. Let your knees rest in toward each other. Taking a nice breath or two here. You can stay in this position, or if you prefer, you could take your legs long on the floor. I'm going to stay with my legs bent. Close your eyes if you're comfortable closing your eyes. Because we're specifically talking at the very beginning about head position, neck, shoulders, I want you to allow those shoulders to get heavy here. See if they can relax toward the floor. Try changing your arm position to find what allows them to draw toward the floor more. If I have my hands by my side, my shoulders come up. If I take my arms out, they go down. That might not be true for you. So experiment a little there. And as you let the shoulders get heavy, also imagine the neck and the head relaxing. Neck is suspended. There's nothing specifically under it holding it up. So we'll let gravity gently draw on it, feeling the neck relaxing toward the floor, feeling the head supported by the floor. I want you to take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Notice how easily the lungs can expand and contract. And then take a big stretch. Move whatever you wish to move. Maybe you want to hug your knees to your chest, both of them. Maybe you want to curl up. At some point, you'll bend your knees. You'll come all the way over onto one side. And then use your hands in front of you on the floor to push yourself up to seated. I'm going to sit up on my blanket. And as you come to whatever seated position, you could step back up onto your chair if you want to. I want you to first take a couple deep breaths. Feel what moves, what's able to move to allow the lungs to inflate and deflate. And then let's try drawing the shoulders back again and drawing the base of the skull back. Is there a little more ease of movement as you're breathing here? A little less efforting? If you want to, you can bring your hands into a prayer position. And we breathe here and we find gratitude for today, for the chance to come together and move our bodies, you and I. We find gratitude for our spaces, our shelter. Gratitude for the larger community, for ourselves, and for life. Thank you.